I cannot believe I am officially starting the Girl Boss Hour podcast. Welcome, everybody. Wait. It's the clapping hands. Okay. I will get the hang of that. All right. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Girl Boss Hour. My name is Cheyenne Olson. I am a plus size fashion lifestyle influencer. I have been in the game for 8 years now, and I just am so excited to finally start this new phase of my life. Maybe podcasting. Oh my gosh. Adding podcaster to the bio is absolutely insane. So I'm so excited that you guys are listening. Thank you. Thank you for clicking one. And two, thank you for listening. I mean, I haven't even started. I'm not even a minute in. Welcome. Finally, this podcast exists. I have been thinking about a podcast for a little bit now, probably about a year and a half. And last year, I really started using the phrase Girl Boss Hour. I want to have a Girl Boss Hour. I want to do a Girl Boss Hour. And I started doing this, and I'll get into like what it is, break it down, and like give you the whys and all the things. But I really wanted to get started with this because I am a goal setter. Like, I am a girly that will go after any goal, anything that I set my mind to. I am going to do it, okay? There is no way, nothing that's going to get in my way, nothing that's going to stop me. And I think there's a lot of girl bosses that have that same mindset. So if you want to start a podcast or a business or do like all the girl boss things, be an entrepreneur, I am here to help motivate you to be your girly, your cheerleader, your big sis, whatever it may be, to help cheer you on and let you know that you've got this, okay? I needed somebody to be in my corner, like how I want to be for others. And I feel like starting Girl Boss Hour really helps us feeling more empowered, feel like we can run the world, even though, Beyonce already said to run the world, girls, because girl bosses. It's just evident that we do truly run the world. So why not run the world during Girl Boss Hour? I am starting the Girl Boss Hour podcast in the middle of Girl Boss Hour, which is very unbrand for me. And you're probably wondering, what is Girl Boss Hour? Why do I keep mentioning this? I'm going to break it down for you. Girl Boss Hour. Typically, it's an hour long where you hustle, okay? You hustle till you can't hustle anymore. You get your tasks done. You get your to-do list knocked out. You got 25 stickies on your desk. You're going to handle those stickies. If you have 15 things on your to-do list, you're going to knock as much as you could get done within that hour. And you're going to do your very best, and you're going to lock in. When you lock in, you can really be productive. I have had several Girl Boss Hours, and when I tell you this is one of my favorite methods to get as much as I need to get done within that hour and feel the most productive for my day. It's one thing to be busy, it's another thing to be productive. A typical Girl Boss Hour for me would look like me at my desk with all my stickies, and I try to knock out as much as sticky notes as possible. Whether it is 10 things, 5 things, and maybe it's one big project and I focus for that hour and knock it out, I am handling my business. As well as Girl Boss Hours are not just for the productivity and, the to-do list, but they are for planning for the future, building the dreams, building the goals. When I tell you this podcast was planned during a Girl Boss Hour and it actually happened and came to fruition, that is the success of a Girl Boss Hour. It's handling what you need to handle and getting it done in a timely fashion so you have more time for rest, more time to hang out, more time to chill, more time to create other content. As an influencer and a doctoral student and a coordinator, it is hard to balance everything that I do. And on top of that, I'm adding more things to my plate, like podcasts, and I want to do speaking and all these different things I'm adding to my plate. How do I juggle it? People always ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it all? Well, girly, I don't know how I do it, but I just handle it in Girl Boss Hour. That is always my response. When people tell me, how do you do it? The method is the girl boss hour. I will hustle till I cannot hustle anymore. So during a girl boss hour, I really try to lock in and handle whatever it is that I need to do, whether it is those daunting tasks that I have just procrastinated on. And to be honest with you, I am a procrastinator. It is very hard to believe. I actually told somebody that a couple days ago that I'm a procrastinator. And like, what? And I say, yes, I am a procrastinator. It is very hard to believe, but even the most productive people have their days. Like, I have a lot of unproductive days. I doom scroll like nobody's business. I am chronically online. I will share SpongeBob memes all day. I will share, like, there's this little nugget going around on Instagram, so cute. And he sings a song like, go into the groceries and maybe I'll get a snack. I love that song. It is so cute. And I share it every time because I'm chronically online. Okay, but social media and all these things like causes the distractions from the things that we want to get done, like our to-do list, our goals, our vision board that we planned so very well in the beginning of the year, and all the things. But how do we make the visions on our vision board come to life? How do we make the plans that we planned, like our goals and everything, happen? It's all in the girl boss hour. It's everything that we need to do and get it done. I've heard lately, oh, hustle culture is bad. Listen, even the best CEOs, the best girl bosses out there, the women who run the world, okay, we hustle. We have to hustle. We have to get out there and do what we want to do. When I look at my task list, and I have a daily to-do list that I look at, and I see everything that I need to do and I break it down by the day. If it doesn't get done, I'm pushing it off to the next day because you know what? There is always a tomorrow. There's always a tomorrow, and everything can get done tomorrow. But how much can I get done in a girl boss hour to make me not only feel good about the tasks that were on my list, but feel good that I handled something that I've wanted to do for so long. So I tend to pull from like a big master to-do list and then put it throughout my to-do list daily. And from that daily to-do list, I say, okay, I gotta have a girl boss hour. I have to knock out my blog anniversary post. I have to start doing my discussion post for my DBA, for my doctorate degree. I have to edit a post on Instagram, and then I have to go ahead and edit another video for a company. Now that right there is a girl boss hour, can all be handled within a 1 hour girl boss hour. And that's how you knock things out. You got 25 stickies on your desk, handle 15 of them in an hour. It can happen. It can be all possible through a girl boss hour. Now you know what girl boss hour is. I have been saying this a lot in my office and in my personal life, and just doing this method for over a year now. I have locked in and I have gotten so much done thanks to girl boss hours. Again, this podcast would not exist if I did not plan in a girl boss hour to do this podcast. I would not have locked in to do this if it wasn't for that girl boss hour, or putting out a story and asking Instagram and saying, hey, would you be interested in doing like listening to a podcast? You know, it is so evident that the method works. And I also try to rally in some of my students. I did mention I'm a student activities coordinator, so shout out to the students. And I tend to do in the office girl boss hours. I'm like, hey, you want to do a girl boss hour? Let's lock in. Let's do a girl boss hour. Shut the door. Handle the business. We're all around there with our laptops, iPads, computers, whatever it may be. And we just hustle. We knock out our to-do list. And that is a girl boss hour. And I'm so excited that you all know what it is now, so we can all collectively do it together. A girl boss hour could transpire anywhere, okay? It could transpire at your home. It could be at the Chili's. We could have a girl boss hour at the TJ Maxx. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in your office, however it may be. But if you're getting your tasks done in a timely fashion and you're handling it like a girl boss, you are doing it right. Now, I want to get into something super exciting. Today is such a special day. I launched my podcast on my blog anniversary. Now, this day 8 years ago is when I started posting blogs on my website. My website is shinelenore.com. If you want to go check it out, you totally can. I have posted on there for 8 years, and I will never forget the day when I actually launched my blog. I went to the Dolly Museum with my sister-in-law, and we saw like the Frida Kahlo exhibit, and it was so beautiful. And my sister-in-law took a picture of me in front of the flower wall that they had. And I was so excited because, like, oh my gosh, I can use this photo in the blog post that I'm going to post when I get home. And I remember telling my sister-in-law like how excited I was. And it was around 6:30 p.m. when I finished typing up my blog and I posted it. Don't ask me why I know the timestamp. It is just something engraved in my brain forever. But it was a moment that I'll never forget. It was the day that I decided to start sharing my story online. But let's backtrack. I didn't just start this blog out of the blue. There was a lot of work that went into it behind the scenes that not many people know about. And I do have it hidden on my blog somewhere, the little start of how the blog became the blog. But I want to share with you guys this special story because it does mean a lot to me. And you guys know I am pursuing my doctoral degree. But before all of that was my bachelor's degree. And I went to the University of Tampa. Go Spartans. I will do an applause for that. Woo! Okay. I got my bachelor's degree in business management from the College of Business at the University of Tampa. And I will say this, I am an education girly. If you want to go get your education, you go do it, okay? I loved going to UT. The campus was beautiful. And I remember hopping off of my associate's degree and going and transferring into a 4-year institution was just so exciting. I had so much fun learning more about business and all the classes that I really wanted to do. So when I started the University of Tampa, I remember signing up for a class. It was information management systems. And at first, I remember walking in the computer lab, like, what is this class and what am I about to learn? And when I tell you, I didn't learn a damn thing. I didn't learn a damn thing. But what I did learn was to start a blog. One of the assignments in the class was to start a WordPress blog. And I had to learn about SEO and watch time and clicks and different back end things for a website. And that is what kickstarted the passion, the dream, the goals. And I honestly, if I never went to that class, and by the way, I did fail that class with an F. And I was on academic probation after that. But that's just another podcast. I started a blog. And I stuck with it. And at that time, I called it Cheyenne's Style. So I was more focused on the outfits and the blog posts that I would post and looking at the statistics and the insights and everything. That's where my love for analytics grew. And that's where everything started. If I never went to that class, if I never pursued my education and decided to say, hey, I want to be a manager one day, I want to own my own business, and I want to go do this and that, if I never walked into that classroom, I would never start a podcast. I would never be an influencer. Like, all these things spiral in my head when I think about it. Every blog anniversary, every year, I think about this story because I remember sitting on the veranda of the College of Business Sykes building, and I remember starting to build the website. I remember deciding on the veranda that I wanted to launch my blog on April 15th. Don't know why. Don't know what transpired that I decided that. I remember popping open my calendar and trying to determine how much time I needed for myself in order to make it happen. I was still in my second semester of my junior year of UT, and I launched this blog. It was such an exciting moment. And again, I'll never forget it, coming home after that exhibit and posting that blog. And I renamed the blog Blogs by Cheyenne from Cheyenne's Style because I said, you know what? They are blogs by me. It made a lot of sense at the time. And I remember, again, like I said, 2 years, and I switched it to CheyenneLenore.com. My middle name is Lenore, thanks to my brother. He gave me that middle name. It was the Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven poem. So that's where I get my middle name from. And I love it. It rolls off the tongue. So CheyenneLenore.com. It was very quick. I don't know why I didn't think of it when I was doing Blogs by Cheyenne. I think I was so excited to get started and make this actually happen. Like, I can't believe it. And it was hard to explain this to like my family members and my friends. I said, hey, I'm starting a blog. They're like, what? Why? Why are you starting a blog? Like, why are you investing all this time into this? And I knew it was going to be something one day. Now, I'm going to backtrack for a second. Back in high school, I came up with this list. And does anybody know Vera Bradley? I loved Vera Bradley. I was obsessed with Vera Bradley. And I had a notebook that was a Vera Bradley notebook, which is so absolutely extra. But you know what? I loved it and I rocked it. And I never really used it though. I never really used it, and I would only write special things in there. In high school, I actually auditioned for American Idol, and after I was denied from American Idol in high school, I decided, oh, I guess I have to go to college. So, with that, I wrote down a list of businesses that I wanted to start. At the top was event planning, and I believe like around the bottom of the list, I had blogger on the list. And I don't really know if I knew what that meant, but I knew that it was something. So I have that list still. And as my life has gone on, I've crossed things off that list. Looking back and realizing that it was one of my initial goals to be a blogger, and crossing that off from a high school planner to being in college and a university level, I mean, it takes time. Dreams and goals take time. But if I would have implemented a girl boss hour, maybe I could have done it sooner. Who knows? But I did it. And that's the point. Just do it. Just do what you want to do. If you want to start a podcast, if you want to be a blogger, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to have your own clothing line, if you want to start a boutique, do what your heart desires. I'm telling you, the minute I started posting blogs, I felt this like weight off of my shoulders. Like I had been holding on to my story for so long. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned American Idol because I loved to sing growing up. So feeling that emotion of losing a passion and losing like this love of singing, I knew I needed something to be a backup plan. So of course college was the answer, but I'm glad that I decided to do it. And if it wasn't for school, if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I have a lot of whys for why I started the blog. And over time, they have changed, which, I mean, a why is always going to be a why. And the why will always be constant. But the why to begin with was to share outfits online because everybody was always asking me. And the why developed 2 years later to, yes, I want to share my outfits, but I've been through some things. I've been bullied. I have been through a lot of low self-esteem moments, and my confidence isn't the best, but it could be better. And I wanted to share the journey. I wanted to share how I became confident through the middle school to high school transition, and I started to love myself more. And it was hard to love myself when so many people were so down on me. They didn't care. And I felt like I was invisible and I was treated wrongly, and that it was hard for me to navigate being so isolated, but also when I would get on stage and perform in front of these people, I was exactly who I wanted to be. Everybody that watched me on that stage did not judge me for my weight. Like, they looked at me like as if I was a real person. Like, my weight didn't matter. My voice mattered. And I used music as an outlet. I used my voice to communicate to people my pain or my hurt, or how I was just so alone. And when I was on stage, I literally was a rock star. Like, I got to be whatever I decided I wanted to be that day, and I felt so good. But the minute I got off stage, it was back to reality. And I will never forget those moments. For 10 years, I performed on stage. 10 years of hoping and wishing and dreaming that people would just like me, and that people would not hate me for my weight, and that people would just love me for me and want to be my friend, and, not look at me differently or make fun of my hair, or, okay, I had upper lip hair, okay? Did not know what Nair was. Didn't want to use Nair, but unfortunately I had to. Like, I was bullied for ridiculous things, for cellulite on my thighs, like, you name it, it was something. I mean, people would tell me, they're like, you're never gonna have a boyfriend. Like, there's so many, and I will get into that at another podcast about bullying, because it was so bad. And to get up on stage during those vulnerable times and to sing the songs that I sang, and to be up there and be who I wanted to be, is a moment that I won't ever forget. It changed everything. So I tell you this as my why, because when I started blogging, I realized that I didn't no longer need to use my voice behind the microphone and sing in front of a crowd to show them who I am. I can post a blog. I can take pictures in these outfits and talk about what I've been through, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I want to say. I want to say things. I want to be me. I want to be just me. And that's what happened with the blog. And that's what turned into the entirety of what Cheyenne Lenore is. And it is me. That is who I am. I wanted to share that story. I wanted to be more open and honest on the internet when I felt like I could relate to other people. They just needed to find me, or I needed to find them. It was such an opportunity to grow. And if I didn't start breaking down the walls and sharing the stories, not being afraid to share the stories, because I was terrified. And of course I'll never mention people's names, but they know who they are, and I know that they know who they are, and I won't ever forget them. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now recording this podcast. It always goes down to that. If I never went through what I went through, a blog wouldn't exist. Schooling wouldn't exist. The dream and the passion of wanting to be on American Idol wouldn't exist. The dream and the passion of, being denied, and then wanting to start my own business, wanting to be an event planner, first of all, and deciding to write a list of things that I want to become as an entrepreneur, and then start a blog after going and pursuing my education. I look back and I'm like, thank you, bullies. Thank you for that. Because now, look at me now. And that is girl boss energy. That is girl boss vibes. That is girl boss hour. At the end of the day, I know that it was a hard time for me, and I wish I could go back to little Cheyenne and be like, hey, girlie, you're gonna be fine. You slayed. You did so many things, and you've done so many things, and you're gonna continue to do these things because you're gonna do girl boss hour. It is so amazing to look back, and I highly suggest that you look back on your journeys too, because my confidence journey is still growing, and it will always grow. But I just couldn't believe the amount of growth that the blog provided me in my confidence. And I will be forever thankful for deciding to hit post. And that's why I celebrate every year, because I decided to be vulnerable. I decided to say, hey, at times where I was in my darkest moments and I needed music and I needed a microphone, and I knew music and my singing was never going to judge me, was always going to be there for me. Guess what was there for me? My blog, my keyboard. That was now my voice, not my microphone. I didn't need it anymore. And I was so happy that that was there for me. And I still sing every now and then. Of course, a karaoke bar, sign me up for a margarita. I will always love singing because it's always going to be a part of me. But it opened a door to so much more. And in a way, doing this podcast is similar to being behind the microphone again. Obviously, this is the microphone that I'm talking into, but it's similar to being back on stage. But what's even more vulnerable is that it's just my voice. And that is scary because I was so terrified. When I got the idea and I wanted to start doing this podcast, I was terrified because I said, is this gonna be enough? Am I gonna do this and maybe not be able to talk or be vulnerable enough to share a story, but maybe I need to hide behind my keyboard? But no, let me get this microphone back and let me tell everybody what life was like. And not only that, but share how I've gained my successes and why I want to start doing, different things and being a girl boss and doing everything that I say I've done throughout this episode. Why? Why? It's always the whys. So why did I start blogging? For the clothes, for the opportunity to share outfits and share those outfits with people. But why do I blog? Because I want to share my story. I want to tell people what it was like to be me so many years ago, and still what it's like to be me now, what it's like to be me growing up and being confident heading into my 30s. Like, I want to share what confidence is as a plus size girly and how I've navigated cyberbullying and in-person bullying and just so many different things. That's the why. That will always be why I blog. And it's amazing to realize that after 2 years in, I could say the story. I could do it. And I'll never forget one of my blog anniversaries. It was year 4. And I remember it was in 2021, I believe. I think it was 2021. But I remember doing a photo shoot where I stripped down into a swimsuit and I wrote on my skin the different words that people used to call me and what people used to call me online, and well, let's just face it, what they still call me online. And I remember that being such an emotional time, and I had already started really posting significantly through Instagram, but that blog was my favorite blog, and I remember calling it Bullied to Beautiful. And if you want to go check it out, you totally can. It's still one of my favorite blogs, one of my most viewed blogs. And that blog post was the one that changed the entirety of the perspective of my blogging career. I knew I wanted to be more vulnerable. I knew I wanted to share more and more. And as I started developing more confidence in myself, I started to share more stories like swimsuit confidence and things like that. And I'm proud that I did, because I still have more stories in me. And that was a long time of going through a lot of self-esteem issues. What I find so crazy is, and I also just looked up the blog post that I was talking about, the Bullied to Beautiful, and I mentioned through here my story. And it's funny because I have a tab on my blog that is my story, like I mentioned earlier about the veranda. But the blog post is called My Story and Bullied to Beautiful. And what's crazy about this, and I'm gonna resort back to it, my education. When I started HCC, when I started my associate's degree, I had an English class, and that English class was telling me to write a narrative about my life. And I said, okay, write the narrative about my life. All right, 1101, let's go. And that English class made me realize what I went through and put the words together. And to be honest with you, I'm going to read it right now, a little excerpt from this. And I know this podcast was not supposed to be about bullying, and it wasn't supposed to be about that specific topic, but this is what happens when I start yapping away and I'm telling you the why the blog exists. So here's a little excerpt from it. This is from my actual English paper that I wrote at my English class in 1101, my freshman year. The tables are circular, made of imitation granite, and filled with 8 metal folding chairs, cold to the touch. As I walk to find a chair, I am bombarded with laughs, stares, and forced to sit with the girls that bully me. They always stare like sharks waiting to attack. My mother always gives me a pre-made Publix sandwich, a Cuban sandwich, some varied in size. The assistant principal makes fun of the gigantic sandwich I eat and says I shouldn't eat such a big sandwich because of how fat I am. You are a fat ass, you have thunder thighs, you're ugly, ew, gross, you'll never find someone who will love you, you're not invited, you're fat, you have too much cellulite, no matter who cares about me. I feel the words fat ass trump the words I love you. I will never have a nice day at school. I'm not very vocal about the torture I'm going through as much as I should be. But I hope that one day the name calling will stop. And that is what inspired this blog. And okay, now I'm done with the excerpt, all right? And not me getting emotional. I found that screenshot of my English paper that I had to submit on Turnitin years ago. And I only had the front page of that paper. I remember giving it to my dad's old boss, and he was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what you went through. And I kept it very hush hush. I didn't tell really anybody that I was going through this. I kept it to myself. And that was mistake number 1, was I kept it to myself. And that moment, I won't ever forget the way I felt. It was hard to go through. And I felt like people just treated me differently because of the way I looked. And again, the passion that turned into the dream, being different and just all the things. There was so much good in the bad. And when it took me a while to realize that. And when I did, it changed. If I didn't write the paper, or if I didn't ever be in like the music space or write songs and, love writing and doing all these things, the blog wouldn't be the blog. The blog would not exist. And yes, of course, I did start the blog thanks to a class at UT, but it changed the minute I realized I could share my story. I could do more than just outfits. I could talk about me and what really makes me me. And going through all that pain and the hurt and everything really was hard, but I turned the negative into a positive. So a lot of the times on blog anniversaries, I cry a lot, and I cry tears of happiness, but also tears for the girl that I used to be, and that I wish I could have stood up for myself when I was going through these things. And I know people saw it happen, and I have tears for the girl that just felt the way she did, it was just so hard to go through, but I wouldn't change a single thing. This is how far I've come. It was more. The blog was more than just fashion. It was more than Cheyenne's style. It was confidence. It was the girl boss state of mind. It was being truly me. And still is. It still is and will always be. I'm so proud that you can read it. I'm so happy you can. And I'm so proud of myself for actually going through with it. And being this vulnerable. I look back on this blog and I'm scrolling through it right now. Cannot believe that these words are out there. And that's what's so great about a blog post, is that it stuck out to me so much that I'll never forget it. There's another blog post that I wrote. It was in the fall in October, not this year, but a couple years ago. And it's another one of my most viewed blogs. And it is Life Lessons a Pumpkin Can Teach You. And that is one of my most clicked on blog posts. And I am proud of that one too, because it talks about confidence. And that is what I am so passionate about. And what I want Girl Boss Hour podcast to be is a chance to speak about confidence, a chance to chat about productivity and getting our goals done. But at the end of the day, our goals aren't our goals if we don't have a why. Our dreams aren't our dreams if we don't have a passion. So, this is my passion. This is my goal, my dream. And I want all my dreams to come true. Because in some way, I still live in the fairy tale world, Disney World, whatever. I want it all to come true. So I will do everything in my girl boss heart and my power to make it happen. Because I know I can. I know I can do it. Because I've done everything up to now. And I know I can do more. And I know I've got this. And if you needed this pep talk too, you've got this. You could do this. You can handle it. And you can be a girl boss. Just do it. Just do it. Because if you keep sitting there just waiting and waiting and waiting, the time is passing by. I am so glad I started when I started. I'm so glad we're at 8 years of blogging. An 8-year anniversary of being vulnerable online. When I looked back and I said, why me? Why me? I would always sit at the foot of my bed, staring in the mirror and saying, why me? Why me? Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? Like, why? I would literally pray, like, just please, like, stop the name calling, stop everything. I would cry so much. And now, like 8+ years later, like 10, 15 years later, I know what the why was. I have the answer to the girl that was crying at the foot of her bed. The answer is this. Why I went through it, because I'm not going to be throwing anything I can't handle. The why was sharing this story, helping the thousands of girls that have sent me messages just saying how I've helped their confidence. Like, I hope you all know I don't take this platform for granted. I don't take the opportunity for granted. I am so lucky and blessed to be in this space, to know that what little Cheyenne went through, what all those hard times were, like, I was doing it for this. And the pain that I had was healed when I started this. And I didn't realize that I had so much pain from being bullied. I suppressed it. I suppressed a lot of it once I got to high school. But the minute I got to college, and the minute I started dissecting my life and really figuring out my goals, was the minute I realized everything that I had gone through. And that's why the blog began. Because I went to school and I started my education. And I went to a class, realized I was bullied, failed a class, but learned how to blog, posted the blog, and haven't stopped since. And that is such a special story to me. And I'm so happy I got to share this with you. And I went on a tangent, so I'm so sorry, but also not sorry because you needed to know this. To recap, you know why we're starting the Girl Boss Hour podcast. You know what Girl Boss Hour is, so we could be productive queens together. We could be productive girlies. And you know the blog, you know the story. And I'm so happy that you know the story and the why and the passions that became part of the story, and the story that is really crazy, but also something that I'm so grateful for. And a lot of people say, what would you change? Nothing. I wouldn't change a single thing because it led me to where I am right now. And I don't want to deviate from where I am right now. I love where I am and what I'm doing and the things that are going to transpire in the future, okay? So much will happen because that's just the girl boss state of mind. Now, I don't know how long these podcasts may be. It could be an hour. It could be under an hour. It could be 30 minutes. I don't know. You tell me, what is like your average listening time for a podcast? I don't want to do over an hour, but it kind of makes sense like Girl Boss Hour. Like I take up an hour, but I don't know if I can yap that long. I need a Chili's triple dipper and a margarita. Like I'm going to need to do something. Now that we've got through majority of the podcast, I want to kind of get into detail of what to expect. So yes, of course, I'm going to be talking about Girl Boss Hour everything. It is a state of mind. It is a way, it's a method of how to get the job done. But I want to share productivity tips and more girl boss tips and just how I've navigated through doing influencing, social media consulting, my full-time job as a coordinator, plus going through my doctoral degree, and now starting a podcast and starting to launch being a speaker. Like, what is going on here? It is a lot of stuff. And I want to invite so many people on the podcast. And I know a lot of people are interested in being on the podcast. So I want to invite like entrepreneur girlies and other girl bosses in the area and people that, have their own business and that are all about women empowerment and just all around girl bosses. Now, I don't know how long these podcasts may be, but I definitely want to keep it under an hour because your girlie needs to do homework. I am pursuing my doctoral. I have to read a lot of articles, but I'm so glad I started this. And now this is our thing. So I'm so glad you got a chance to hear my story. And I'm so thankful that you decided to listen. Before we go, I want to do a little segment. And I want to start doing different little segments like this to definitely switch the moods because I went a little dark there for a bit. I'm so sorry. But I have to pick up the mood. All right? Because a girl boss would do. So my segment is called hot mess moments, because I am chronically a hot mess. And I say this all the time to people. I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. At least I'm hot. And if you're going to say that I'm a mess, put hot in front of it. Anyway, I am a hot mess, and this is why. So at the current moment, my obsession with TJ Maxx and Marshalls is astronomically ridiculous. I have gone to a TJ Maxx and Marshalls every weekend since I got back from one of the conferences I went to where I spoke at, and it was back in the beginning of March. I have gone every weekend. Every weekend. I have about 6 to 7 TJ Maxx bags on the floor of my room right now. I am currently in my room recording this podcast, and I have so many bags. I don't even know what's in the bags. I mean, probably a lot of like nautical seashell, like necklaces and things like that, because I'm in my nautical era. But what is ridiculous is the fact that not only do I have tons of TJ Maxx bags all over my room, which need to be cleaned up. Okay. It is so much. And I did want to do a haul, but like, I don't know if people would want to see a haul of like a bunch of random things, but they're so cute for summer, and I'm like so excited to film content for it. But what makes me even more of a hot mess is the fact that I started a note on my phone that says TJ Maxx ranking. Now, I just started this out of the blue, and I started ranking all the TJ Maxx within a 50 to 100 mile radius of my house. Like, I cannot believe I did this. And to be honest with you, it's very valid. Like, the Town and Country TJ Maxx in Tampa is truly elite. It is the best TJ Maxx in the area. I can always find everything that is on my TJ Maxx finds, like screenshots from TikTok. Like, I always find the stuff there. It is my go-to. It is my OG, like, bestie. I love the Town and Country TJ Maxx. Now, the worst TJ Maxx I've ever been to was in Ocala. Why is there broken glass on the floor? I'm going to cut my foot. I just literally lost my mind. And I was so excited to go to that TJ Maxx. I was like ready to drop $200. Like, I wanted to spend like a lifetime of TJ Maxx money in the Ocala TJ Maxx. But there was nothing. Of course I found something, but I had to dig. Also, I did start a ranking of the Marshalls, and one of my favorite Marshalls is now the one in Plant City. I went there a couple of days ago, and when I tell you it was the most magical experience I've ever had in a Marshalls, I can't wait to go back there again. I will travel to go to a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx. I am such a shopaholic that this constitutes as a hot mess moment. It is a hot mess moment, and honestly, I'm kind of proud of the hot mess moment because I have been on the hunt for these finds at TJ Maxx. They keep popping up on my For You page like I just can't help it. I can't help myself. I love TJ Maxx. And don't be surprised if you see more videos of me shopping at TJ Maxx because I absolutely love it, okay? Somebody out there has to relate, okay? We love a TJ Maxx. We love a Marshalls trip. A Marshalls and TJ Maxx trip on top of going to Chili's with a triple dollar. Now I am hungry, okay? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Make sure you check out the blog because today is that 8-year anniversary of me starting my blog, shinelenore.com. And if you check out the blog, make sure you leave like a little heart emoji on my most recent reel on my Girl Boss Hour podcast Instagram. I want to know who listened all the way through the podcast, okay? And make sure you're following the podcast Instagram. I did start one, super excited about it. And I'll be sharing maybe some clips and stuff like that. When I start figuring out my footing with podcasting, I will post more snippets of conversations and everything that I have on the podcast. So it's little sneak peeks. But thank you all so much for listening to my very first Girl Boss Hour podcast. You have no idea how much it truly means to me that you heard my story, and just the familiarity with having a microphone in front of me again truly makes me feel like this is full circle moment. So thank you so much for listening, and I cannot wait to chat with you on the next Girl Boss Hour podcast. Bye.